And thank you. My name is Yvell Stanford. I'm the Director of Executives on Campus. And as you know, Executives on Campus is a portal for executives and alum to come back to Baruch College to speak to students as guest lecturers like today, to have discussions, to act as mentors. And so we have a great opportunity today to have an intimate discussion with one of our finest. And I'm going to let Mr. Michael Park, I'm not going to take over the show, Michael Park carry on from here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Baruch College and Golden Key International Honor Society and the Wall Street Club at Baruch College, we'd like to thank Mr. Roy Weinstein for attending our event today. Thank you for your time, and we greatly appreciate your time and everything and all the valuable insight that you could afford to us today. Thank you very much.
Do you want me to try and answer some of these questions? Or? Okay. I attended Baruch from, believe it or not, 1960 to 64. I graduated in 1964, which is probably before just about everybody in this room was even born. And better than that, both of my parents also attended Baruch. And my dad was in the class of 1934. And my mother was in the class of 1937. They are both CPAs, thanks to Baruch. And my dad's 100th birthday will be later this year. We're all looking forward to it. But I say that because I have very strong ties to this school. I'm very grateful to Baruch. When I was here, I had no idea what I wanted to do other than get my degree and get a job. And since both my parents were accountants, I began as an accounting major. I remember, it might have been Dean Sachs who used to say pension mounting cost accounting. I don't know if they still say that anymore. But so I started as an accounting major for about a year or so, and I didn't really like it. It was okay, but it wasn't that interesting to me. But simultaneously, I had a wonderful professor in economics, Maurice Benowitz, who took a tremendous interest in all of the students, including me, and who was passionate about the study of economics, and who also was passionate about driving us to be successful as students and as people. And that was true for Benowitz, but it was also true for a number of others in the department. So they interested me in economics, and I converted from being an accounting major to being an economics major, which was easy, and the accounting background was and still is tremendously helpful. So with the help of Benowitz and a number of other faculty members here, whose names I mostly remember, whose faces I mostly remember, I worked hard in economics. And the thing was, back then, it may be different now, he felt we all had to get fellowships to go to graduate school. And they worked very hard to make sure that we learned enough and our grades were good enough to do that. And then they worked hard with letters of recommendation and things of that sort to help get us into good schools and get our graduate education paid for. The one other thing I would add is I went to Baruch. These folks come in. I went to Baruch because my parents couldn't afford to send me to an expensive private school, and in fact, back then, I really think Baruch was free. Now you have to pay something, but back then it was truly free, and that was all that they could afford. We lived at, initially I lived at 183rd Street and Crestline Avenue, which is a block from the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, a little bit south of Fordham Road. And that's where I grew up. And then when I came to Baruch, I moved to the 92nd Street Y. And I lived there, and I took the legs from 86th Street down to 23rd Street, and I went to that building across the street, and that was Baruch. But these professors, Benowitz and the others, were wonderful, and they got me into the University of Chicago. And I got my master's in economics there. The thing about economics that I liked, there were two things. One is it wasn't accounting, and that was good. But the other is that it taught me how to think in a certain way. And I don't know how far along you are in your training as economists, but economists really do have a unique way of viewing the world and of viewing problems in the world. And I think it's a wonderful discipline. The training that I've had in economics has helped me in every kind of problem in life, because I have a way of analyzing those problems that I initially learned here at Baruch and then in graduate school at the University of Chicago. After that, I wanted to get a job, and so I interviewed and I took the first job that was offered with an economic consulting firm here in New York. I stayed there for 3 years in New York. Then they said, do you want to move to Washington and help us there? And I said, sure. I was single at the time. And I stayed there for about 5 years. And then they said, do you want to move to Los Angeles and open an office for us there? And like many New Yorkers, I thought that the only place in the world to live was New York. I truly believed that at the time. But I was, again, still single and very career motivated, so I said sure, and I moved to Los Angeles, started an office, was very successful there, and I've lived there ever since, and I love the California lifestyle. And I've learned that there actually is stuff west of the Mississippi, indeed west of the Hudson. After 19 years at my initial job, I decided that I had learned enough as an employee. I could take the best from the mentors who I had learned with there and start my own firm. And so I took a chance and quit my wonderful job in LA and started my current firm, which is Micronomics. We are engaged in economic research and consulting. Maybe a little later I'll explain exactly what that is, but it's been a wonderful experience over the years. I've done Micronomics now for 22 years, and it's still going strong. In fact, it's going stronger right now than most segments of our economy, and I'm not really sure why that is. I'd like to think it's because we do good work and we try hard and we're a client service business, and maybe a lot of reasons. But it's been successful, and it's been rewarding having one's own firm. It was important for me to work for somebody else at the start of my career because I didn't know anything. And I needed to learn stuff, and I learned stuff from the people I worked with. And after a while, I grew more confident about my own abilities and what I had learned. And I began to have ideas as to how I could improve on what I had learned from people at this firm that I worked for. And as I said, finally there came a time when I decided to go out on my own and do the Micronomics thing. Why don't I stop and just answer some questions and then sort of see where all that leads, if you have questions. Because I'm here to